Hello everybody and welcome back to RogueTech, where we are currently getting some repairs done after having rescued Savarok. And is Savarok fatigued? No, he is not, but he is injured for 7 days. That's okay. That's not that big of a deal for us. So we're going to have to take this financial report, unfortunately, but maybe next month. Maybe next month we can make a decent profit rather than, like, treading water. That would be nice. For the time being, we're going to hop into the engineering here and get ourselves another hydroponics garden upgrade. That'll be fine. And we'll get these repairs finished up very swiftly here, indeed. So we're down to 7.9. We could drop our expenses, but I kind of don't want to. So we're going to continue on the extravagant expenses. That'll be okay. And Savarok will be back in 1 day, the crossbow in 2, and we'll deploy right now. Fantastic. Let's hop into the mech bay, and not the mech bay, let's hop into the barracks and get any of these completed that we need to, any of these pilot promotions.
Yep.
What do we need to get done here? A point of tactics for Gorgon, always good.
Commander?
Anything else in here? Yes. A point of piloting for Jammer, that'll be fine. For Clist, a point of guts, sure, looks fine. Anybody else here?
I'm receiving you.
Point of piloting for Plato.
Mech warrior training complete.
And for
Standing by.
Romeo, okay. So Romeo's our Nidhogg pilot. We have access to a piloting trait or a gunnery trait. So we can either take Warlord or Controlled Bursts. We don't have recoil, we don't have jam chance. Clustering roll is almost certainly what we want here. But under piloting, let's see here. Local ECM and minus 50% sensor signature for 2 turns. And additional movement. Honestly, I think Warlord is the way to go here.
Training
Our
complete.
Nidhogg is focused on being able to nuke something and nuke it fast.
What's up, boss?
So that will enable us to have more access to that. I'm going to grab a point of gunnery and guts for Rook. That'll be absolutely fine. Next up is going to be actually Weasel Cakes getting maxed out on the gunnery. I like it. So that's absolutely fine. Let's hop into the command center and see what mission we might be interested in doing. 7.8 million C-bills, huh? Okay, so we want something that is reasonably simple, but also reasonably good pay, right? This is a mission for Comstar versus Davian. It's a battle. It's a vanguard of a larger force. A rough fight, huh? Well, if we can show up and deal with them quickly, then it might be worthwhile. There's not a lot of great salvage here. In fact, it's a free priority salvage. So we can sit right here, collect almost 2 million C-bills from this, and in theory, make our way through this nice and simply. Emphasis on in theory. So the Bandersnatch is not repaired, obviously, and everything else is good to go. This is only a 4-skull, so this shouldn't be too bad. Darius didn't even warn us about it. We'll see what they've got. See you guys after the loading screen. So here we are, all loaded up, and let's see what we've got here. It'll be very interesting to see what Davian's got here. Enemies detected in the area. Davian sent a pretty serious lance of mechs. Harassing units. Okay, that's fine. But this is where the enemy lance is. This is the furthest forward we can deploy. There are more units than just this. That's for sure. 1000%. If we spawn here, we have the benefit of this cover. We can dip behind this mountain to break LOS if we need to. I feel like it's a reasonable overview of this area, especially if we advance up to this ridge. I also see this guy here. Well, let's deploy here and see what we've got. I'm pretty sure there's going to be at least one enemy lance. Or rather, at least one extra enemy lance. So we see vehicles right here. Okay. So they're kind of caught out in the open. That's a Pegasus. We do see a heavy bomber up here. This is a Nidhogg. We see a Marauder up this way. This is a Typhoon, a Hydrocodon. Hyracodon? I don't know how to pronounce that. A Chaparral, and an SRM carrier. Okay. We should reserve here.
Holding action, Commander.
And we're going to let some of their units move first here. We should let this SRM carrier move first, and this Nidhogg as well. So we'll see what the Nidhogg does. The Chaparral moves back out over here. That makes a lot of sense. I can understand why they're doing that. The Nidhogg moves up and is on 9 evasive. Noted. Okay, so at this point, I want to let the SRM carrier move. So we're going to reserve one more time, and the SRM carrier will now determine where it wants to go. Interesting. Okay, let's look at rear armor here. 160, 140, 180, and 55. I'm going to place the Nidhogg right up on top of this hill for the moment. That also gives us vision on a Victor that we did not previously see. That's fine. So we're going to see what we want to bomb with that Nidhogg, but it's almost certainly going to be these vehicles. Next up is going to be our Rifleman. I want to move the Rifleman as forward as possible. We don't get LOS this round, but we don't need it because of spawn protection. So next is going to be our Archer, which really should move up over this way as much as it can. Then our Marksman SPG, which is probably going to sit somewhere around here. We'll brace that. Now they're going to be moving their Hydrocodon. Hurricodon? Sure, we'll go with that. That actually just didn't move. Noted. Okay, next up is our Epimetheus. I'm not going to move this out of cover yet. I'm just going to position it there and brace it. And then our Marauder, which again, I'm not going to move out of cover. I'm going to position it here and brace it. Then our Black Knight, same story. We're just moving this up, preparing to attack here, but next round is the round we're actually going to attack. Crossbow can position up over here. Was that the MRM crossbow? No, that was the LRM crossbow. Okay, noted. So the Jerry-Rig Demolisher is going to want to start accelerating up over here. We'll just position it here for now, although it's likely going to take a lot of fire from this direction. So that is absolutely noted. The Devastator is going to similarly move out here. Are we stuck in this location? I believe that we are. We have to careful maneuver out of here. Unfortunate. But that's okay. Next up would be our Crossbow X, which is going to position right up over here, staying in that cover. Okay, now is going to be this Typhoon, and we'll see what it decides to do. It didn't move either. Noted. So next up, we're going to take our Grasshopper up over here. That'll be fine. Okay, spawn protection has gone away, and next round. So the Pegasus moves first. This Nidhogg moves in phase 19. That is, believe it or not our priority right now. The crossbow could position here. This puts it in danger from the Nidhogg. This SRM carrier has a lot of evasive.
How's it going?
This is our LRM crossbow. And who else do we move in this round? The Black Knight. These hit odds will go up, but this is 7 evasive on that SRM carrier, so it will be kind of hard to hit. These guys, of course, would be super easy to hit because they didn't move. But I kind of want to reserve everyone here until they've moved. I want to preserve our defensive bonuses as well as our evasion until after they've moved their important units. And then we can respond to that, is the idea. Okay, so they're firing the Arrow 4 at this Archer.
You've got hostile contacts inbound.
And that does, of course, do a lot of damage, but it's spread out over a lot of units there. And that was this Chaparral, which just did not move. So this is now a much easier target for us to hit. Now I'm going to reserve again, and we enter the danger zone as this Nidhogg decides what it wants to do. Now this is the same Nidhogg as the one that we have. So that is understood just how much damage it can output. It moves up and fires on what exactly? Our crossbow? Ow. Okay, so that does a lot of damage to our crossbow. That's understood. How many LRM-20s did we lose to that? Because we don't have that many more to put on. Okay, we lost one LRM-20 to that. Yeah, that's just what the Nidhogg does, right? It burned most of its damage there, and that just is what it is. So the Nidhogg is no longer as big of a threat. It's still not our primary target here. Next up is going to be our Archer. So the Archer could position out over here and soften people up. I know that I said that it's not our main target. I want to move the Archer back out of LOS over here because the Archer does need to be withdrawn a little bit. I kind of want to fire at this SRM carrier, even though the hit odds are really low. We could trigger some AMS if there is any out over there, and we can soften up the SRM a little bit. Heavy on the little. So that's fine. That Archer is... It took serious damage there from the Nidhogg. It was understood that that was always going to be the case. So that Marauder moves up, fires at our Nidhogg, gets very little done, which is to be expected. The question is, when does our Nidhogg move? And the answer is phase 13, which is really quite late. It is after they move their SRM carrier. Okay. So the Rifleman is very close to being knocked down. Oh, wait. This is the triple LRM Archer. Right. For some reason, I thought we were moving the crossbow earlier. We weren't. It's
Got my
fine.
attention.
The crossbow X can move up over here. This is an awkward place for it to move, of course. I really want to reserve. So I'm going to do that. The reason I want to reserve is I don't want to expose us too much to this Typhoon. So this is phase 15. This SRM carrier is going to fire soon, but it should attack the Nidhogg. Okay. He goes for the Epimetheus Prime. Now, the Epimetheus Prime is now unsteady and loses its evasion, but that didn't help it very much anyway. It was already braced and in cover there. So that is solid. At this point, this guy can move, and he doesn't have that much damage that he can do. We can head out with our Marauder and position out over here, giving us access to all of these units. Now, hit odds on this SRM carrier are low, and we could absolutely fire front arc on one of these guys. We could fire on that Nidhogg, low hit odds there. We could fire on the Victor. What do we want to fire on? Well, hit odds are absolutely best on the Typhoon, and that's what I'm going to take here. So that's a lot of damage into the front arc of that Typhoon, and we tagged it. Now, it's going to get to respawn here. I expect it to attack the Marauder with its LRMs here, but it's a little close in. So we'll see what it gets done with that. The Epimetheus is potentially a target for it. It does go for the Marauder. Okay. So that's quite a lot of damage output, but that was understood that that was going to be the case. So, next up is the Grasshopper, which is going to position up over here.
Confirmed.
And we're going to fire on that Typhoon. I want to continue to chunk down this arm.
Roger that.
Ooh, we missed the autocannon. That's unfortunate. Next up is going to be that SRM carrier, and this is where the pain comes in. It's really unfortunate that we rolled 13 on our Nidhogg. Really, really unfortunate. I expect the SRM carrier to attack our Marauder here, and that could do a lot of damage. Like, a crazy amount of damage. It's incredibly unfortunate when we rolled on our Nidhogg. It didn't move. Okay.
I'm ready.
Well, that's huge. I'm going to position our Black Knight here, and we're going to fire on that SRM carrier, probably. These hit odds are still pretty bad. Why are these bad? Just a lot of little things. Nothing major. Okay, noted. Well, I think that we should fire on this Typhoon. We are very close to penetrating his armor here.
All weapons are go.
We stray-shotted a little bit over this way as well, so that seems okay. So we're very close to penetrating the armor on that Typhoon. Keep in mind, the Nidhogg does have some damage remaining, but not all that much. Now, the crossbow absolutely needs to back off over here.
Coordinates received.
No doubt about that. And I'm going to lob some missiles at this Typhoon, I think, in not SAM mode, in ER mode. Okay, so we got a little bit more damage on that Typhoon. Now, we have a couple of vehicles over here that are very high priority to take out. The Nidhogg can begin to work on that, and that is what I want it to do. So I'm thinking about positioning about here, but that's a little too close. Maybe side arc over here. That's minimum distance. Here. So this is going to do some splash damage to the SRM and possibly also the Typhoon from this location. And we're going to absolutely nuke this chaparral. I do not want it to exist anymore.
Copy that.
And it's gone. Fantastic. It's overkilled, but I wanted to make sure that we're not going to take another artillery shot from it.
Hope we can
So
salvage
that's
that.
good. And I want to take a quick
got
look
no
as
ammo
well
in multiple
at how
weapons.
things are looking on that SRM carrier. That was a lot of damage to that SRM carrier. Okay. I like it. So next up is our Epimetheus Prime. Now, I'm going to move that guy up to here.
On my way.
He has taken a fair amount of damage, and the hit odds are definitely telling us to go for the Typhoon here, which we're going to do. I want to crank up these machine guns. This Typhoon probably dies here. That was some interesting stray shot there. But we did take out the Typhoon. I like it. So that looks good. Next up is going to be what? Well, that Hydrocon is a little low on its armor. The SRM carrier has to go away, right? So I'm going to fire the Marksman SPG. I'm not going to fire it at the Nidhogg. I'm going to fire it at the SRM carrier here. Because that's a high priority target. So that's another good chunk of armor damage to that SRM carrier. I was hoping that we'd get some splash damage, but we didn't get that out of it, unfortunately. But now the jerry-rig Demolisher is going to make its way up over here.
On the move.
And we are going to fire on this SRM carrier. I'm not going to fire the eye rockets, but I do expect this to destroy the SRM carrier.
Locked on rear off.
There we go. So the SRM carrier is out of here. That is 3/4 of the vehicles.
Destroyed.
Or rather, of the vehicle lance. They've still got that Nidhogg there. But the Nidhogg has already kind of blown its load, if you will. So we're going to move our Devastator out over here. I don't know that we're going to take a shot here. I don't like these angles overall. Maybe this shot is worth taking. No, it's not. So we're just going to position it there. It's unfortunate that it was stuck there, but it is what it is. So the crossbow at this point can move up to here. Now, it's definitely getting a little low on its armor, and it's very close to being unsteady here. We can go for the Hydrocon, we can go for the Nidhogg, we could go for the Victor. The Hirakodon is definitely the way to go here. Light him up. Structure exposure, 2 tracks crits
Right
there.
through his armor.
Unfortunately for us, it's not quite gone. But we still have our Rifleman to move here. And the Rifleman can't sprint. We could position about here, and I'm going to do that and brace.
Give him everything you
Okay. So next up, what are they going to move? Well, Phase 22, they're going to move their Nidhogg. Now, they're almost certainly going to bomb somewhere over here in this formation. They do have some bombs remaining, but they've already used the majority of their damage. So we'll see what they do. They actually back off with the Nidhogg there. Okay. Now they're going to be able to move their Pegasus here. Pegasus may try to engage us up over this way. Moves over here and doesn't do anything at all.
Commander?
Okay, I love this. So at this point, I'm going to take our Archer up here.
Coordinates
And we're going to fire indirect at this Nidhogg. The idea here is... No, actually, I'm not. I've changed my mind. The idea here is actually that we should fire at this guy and crit fish. There's a good chance we could destroy him here. Do it.
Right, Commander.
Yep, he's gone. Beautiful. I think that was the right call. So at this point, that is the entire
Let's
support
destroy.
lance gone. They definitely did a lot of damage to us right out of the gate, but they have lost the majority of the damage that they can deal. So we can move our crossbow X over here. That's going to preserve its momentum, and that's good. We could fire on this Victor or on the Nidhogg. I think that the odds here definitely favor a softening up of the Victor. Wow, look at that. That is an 80-ton assault mech with 640 points of armor. This guy is super squishy. I'm going to fire improved MRMs here. That's going to do a lot of damage to him. It didn't cluster all that well, but his armor is significantly reduced by that. I like it. The Nidhogg can make its way up here, and I think that given LOS difficulties down here, I think we should probably continue to hit this Victor. I'm going to fire the AGM, I think. We're minimum range on the AGM. We should fire the high explosive bomb here. Okay, light him up. So that's a structure exposure on that Victor. He's also unsteady now. Now, he's going to get to move fairly soon. Is that right now? Not quite, but he gets to move after the Black Knight. I'm going to advance forward with the Black Knight here. And we're going to fire on this Victor, hopefully taking him out or at least eliminating his AC-20. Let's see what happens here.
Firing full complement on it.
Flamer destruction, armor-piercing AC-20 destroyed. Okay, so the AC-20 is, I believe, gone at the... Yes, AC-20 destruction. Beautiful. So that is a large amount of his damage. That Marauder moves up and fires on our Nidhogg, which is unsurprising, but he stray-shotted his... Oh. He stray-shotted the Victor there and destroyed it.
Orders?
Well, that's nice. Well, our Grasshopper can absolutely head forward to about here. We can pot shot at this Nidhogg. Hit-outs are actually not the worst thing in the world. Do we want to... No, we don't have Warlord on here. Okay, just light him up and see what happens.
Knowledge.
Well, we triggered his AMS anyway. It wasn't a huge amount, but we didn't really expect much there. So we just need to take down that Nidhogg and move in on the rest of these. So the Marauder is going to advance forward here. I'm not going to sprint it because of instability, but we're going to pot shot at this Nidhogg here. Do we want to think about... Well, we don't have Warlord here either. Okay, let's just light this guy up and see what happens. I believe we tagged him successfully there. We did. So that will help matters.
Waiting for orders.
The Rifleman can position out over here and take a free shot at this Nidhogg. 50-50 hit odds. Let's see what happens. Okay, we hit one thing there. Sadly, neither ERPPC. Okay. So, of course, we're not using, like, ideal, optimal mechs to attack this Nidhogg right now. We're just kind of pot-shotting because we don't have anything else to fire. So, I feel like this is reasonable hit odds here, and at the very least, we can trigger its AMS, which is useful. I am going to fire the late AC-20 here, and hopefully nothing goes wrong with that. Okay, it did not. Beautiful. So, it successfully AMS'd the majority of those, which is not shocking at all. Next up is our Marksman SPG, and I want to put the Marksman about here, and we're going to put the Sniper Artillery in flak mode, and we're going to hit this Nidhogg. We're going to do something to it.
Giving in everything I've got.
There we go. So that's a decent amount of armor damage to the rear arc of that Nidhogg, but we've not done a lot to it yet. The Jerry-Rig Demolisher can move up over here. I'm actually a little surprised that we don't get LOS out here. Do we want LOS out here? Is a question we should be asking. That Pegasus has 5 evasive, the Marauder has 3. The alternative, of course, is that we can position here and just pot-shot the Nidhogg. And I feel like that's what we do here, including firing the eye rockets just to waste their AMS. Okay, we got a little bit of damage in there, but more importantly, the AMS did get hit. Cool. Next up is our Devastator, and the Devastator is going to position about here. I don't know that this is worth firing. There's a risk that we just absolutely mess up this mech over here. Let's use the precision AC-20s and see what happens.
Firing at enemy 6.
Ooh, we did get a hit there, I think. With the zoom in? Yeah, that rear arc is really close.
Commander?
Okay, so I'm going to put this crossbow further back out of LOS over here.
Affirmative.
And we're just going to lob some missiles at this Nidhogg. We expect very little out of this.
Copy.
Losing that LRM-20 is certainly painful, but we'll get a little bit more in there. And next round, we can move our Archer. Do we get LOS here? The answer is no. So we're just going to lob a few additional missiles here. I think we should probably Warlord this for +1 accuracy and clustering roll. Now, he should have AMS back at this point because it's a new round, but we'll see what happens.
Roger, Commander. I've got the shot.
Well, that didn't go well. Okay. It was worth a try. We did manage to AMS a lot of that. Phase 22, he ends up moving his Nidhogg and his Pegasus here. We'll see what he does. At this point, he should probably turn his Nidhogg around. He's got 4 hit points in that rear arc. And he didn't really turn it around. Okay, that's noted. So next up is going to be the Pegasus. I mean, he kind of turned around the Nidhogg, I suppose. The Pegasus just failed to move.
Orders?
They had that one good round, and then after that, they're just like, you know what? We just kind of give up. I don't know what's up with that one. I'm going to fire on the Nidhogg, but I'm going to use a binary laser in X2 mode. We just need to get something in here. It would have 1 hit point left if we hit 1 binary laser here. Well, we'll see what happens.
Your armor it is.
I think that just happened. I think that Nidhogg has 1 rear arc HP. 4 rear arc HP. Okay. So the Epimetheus is going to move up, and this should finish the job, to be honest. We've got the MRMs, and all we need is a single MRM into that rear arc, and he's gone.
Target lock on enemy's rear.
And there we go. Fantastic. So the Nidhogg is out of here. No one needs to worry about that
Target
anymore.
neutralized.
So next up, of course, we need to approach this ridge line and start firing on the Pegasus and the Marauder. Now, the Marauder hasn't moved yet, but we can absolutely bring the Nidhogg up over here. I'm thinking about firing the weapons bay in AGM mode, and that would end up being somewhere around here for ideal range. I want to hit the front arc of this Marauder because that's majoritively where we're going to be hitting. So let's light this guy up. This is mostly just an armor softener.
Copy that.
We missed the PPC. However, the AGM and the bomb did hit. So we got a decent amount of front arc damage there. It's not fantastic, but it's okay. So at this point, we can position the Crossbow X here. I feel like the obvious choice is to fire on this Pegasus side arc. It probably dies to the MRMs. Yeah, do it.
Confirm.
And there we go. So fantastic. All we have left is that Marauder.
What a waste.
That first round was a doozy, there's no doubt about it, and losing that LRM-20 could be very painful for us. I'm not 100% certain how we're going to replace that. Hopefully we manage to salvage an LRM-20 out of this. If we have a prio salvage, it will be the LRM. So they're continuing to fire on the Nidhogg. That's now a structure exposure. The Nidhogg has pretty much done the damage it's going to. We probably just want to withdraw it at this point.
Yes, Commander.
And the Grasshopper can make its way up. I'm wondering if we have... This is a clear shot here. Okay, I'll prefer to sprint for a clear shot. We can fire side arc on this Marauder. This is on his weak side, so this could theoretically do a lot.
Got it, Commander.
But we missed the autocannon and all of the missiles. So that didn't get very much done. We just hit 1 laser, but it did go into that torso, so that looks good. Next up is a jerry-rig demolisher. I like this positioning. Our machine gun is jammed, but these are not the best of hit odds. Failed our sensor roll. Okay. We missed literally everything there. That's what happens when you fail your sensor roll. Okay, next up is our Marauder. Now, our Marauder is definitely weakened. I'm going to position it up here. We don't quite get LOS. That's fine. The Devastator is going to head forward as much as it can. We would like to get it engaged up over here next round.
Waiting for
The Marksman SPG is absolutely going to fire on this Marauder in artillery mode. We're just looking to do what we can to shred its armor off. That was a good hit, actually. It wasn't quite direct, but we hit this torso, which is exactly what we want.
Yes, Commander.
So next up is the crossbow. I'm going to move that up over here a little bit, and we're going to fire the LRM-20 here. And unfortunately, that was our Artemis as well. I believe we have another Artemis attachment. Oh, all of those missiles missing. Okay. But I believe we do have another Artemis attachment, so that should be reasonably fine. When does this guy move this round? Phase 14 to our 20? Okay, that sounds good. So the Crossbow X is going to sprint forward here. We're going to fire our MRMs into this weakened side arc, and depending on what's in this torso, the Marauder could die to this.
Giving him everything I've got. Follow my lead.
3 double heat sinks, and interestingly, 2 engine crits there. Let's take a quick look. He's definitely got an XL engine.
Good to go.
Okay, so that sounds good. The Epimetheus Prime is going to sprint forward here
Alright,
and not
full
get a whole
speed.
lot done. That's fine. Next up is going to be our
Commander?
Black Knight, which does not end up getting LOS here in any way. Okay. Next is our
Commander.
Nidhogg. We would need to protect our left side, or actually our right side on our Nidhogg. So that would mean positioning it somewhere like here-ish. Just barely squeaking into this position. No, I don't like this. I'm just withdrawing this thing. And we want to protect the right side, so we want to turn it like this? No. Like this. So the left side is facing that way.
Heading out.
Okay. So we're just positioning like that. Fantastic.
Waiting for
Next
orders.
up is our Archer, and the Archer is going to
Right,
lob
Commander.
some missiles in here. It could get crits. It could eliminate the Marauder from this. We'll see.
Roger
It's
that.
unlikely, though. But there we go. Engine destruction. That was just the crit we needed.
Enemy
Beautiful.
down.
And we are out of here.
Mission successful.
So we took a lot of damage there. No doubt about that. The main thing I'm concerned about losing is that LRM-20. Those heavy bombers are really, really painful if you can't take them down on that first round, which we can rarely do. So that's definitely a concern. They just move very fast and require a lot of concentrated fire to bring down. We can bring them down. No doubt about that. We destroy things very quickly. So what all did we lose here? We lost a medium laser, no big deal. Heatsink, an Artemis 4 attachment, which this is saying we have 0, but I think that we do have one. At any rate, we could raid the Bandersnatch for parts there if we really needed to. The LRM-20 and the Artemis 4 attachment are the potential concerns there. We'll see. So there's the missile artillery there. There's all of that. I'm most interested right now in an LRM-20, which does not appear to be in the list. What about an Artemis? No Artemis attachment. Okay, so that's going to be potentially problematic for us. We could get like a missile HP FCS, which is interesting. Let's grab that for now. We got a generic structure, a double heatsink, a medium laser, a Nidhogg part. Sure. That's all very mediocre, and it all comes down to that first round attack, right? We were pretty clustered together, and so we took a lot of extra damage from that, but I still think that that saved our crossbow, because if we hadn't have been braced and in cover, I think that that crossbow probably would have died to that shot. So I think that that was worth doing, all things considered. But that Nidhogg was definitely painful. We got a little bit lucky that they chose not to fire the SRM carrier at one of our damaged mechs, that's for sure. But just that artillery shot plus Nidhogg attack softened us up a lot. But that's okay. So that's going to be pretty expensive to repair. You can go ahead and do that, Yang. And we are going to have to cancel the repair on that crossbow. Not the crossbow X, the crossbow, which is this guy. So that's about half of our repair cost there. I'm also potentially going to cancel on the Bandersnatch. Let's hold off on that. Let's hop into the mech bay here and see what we actually...
Be with you in a
I
sec.
don't suppose there's an LRM-20 in the store. What do we got here? It's theoretically possible, I suppose, if this loads up properly. It's, kind of frozen right now. There we go. Okay, so what do we got in here for weapons? An LRM-10? Okay, that's not helpful. Let's hop into the mech bay and see what we can cobble together. So for the crossbow here, we're going to have to refit this. And we're going to have to repair that. So losing the Artemis 4 attachment and the LRM-20 is something that's been happening a lot lately. Which of course means it's going to be hard for us to replace it. So do we have an Artemis attachment? It said that we didn't in the salvage, but that may or may not have been true. Looks like we don't. So we're going to have to ditch the Artemis ammo here. And we're going to have to put something else in. Now, we do have Omni slots here, so we can definitely do that. Let's max out this armor. We also don't have anything like Heavy Pharaoh on this. So if we were to do that, we could do something like that. That gives us 17 tons to work with. So, to that end, we're going to need to put on some additional LRM ammo. So I'd like to put in additional SAM LRM ammo if we can. Let's see, we've got Deadfire, we've got Listen Kill, which I guess would be fine. That'll be okay. I don't think we have SAM, but that's absolutely fine. We could also put in a double LRM ammo, but we don't have the spot, or rather the slots for that. That's okay. We could do a half ton of ER, or we could just do standard LRM in addition to the Listen Kill. So we've got 4 different types of LRM ammo here. Then we've got 15 tons to work with. So we can do an LRM 15. That's 7 tons. We can do potentially another LRM 15 out over here and still have 1 ton to work with. Now, we are lacking some slots here. We did lose a heat sink. How much is this actually netting us? 3, and this is netting us 3. Okay. So we'd have to drop some tonnage if we wanted to do that. We've got these heat sinks as it is. 1.55 tons remaining. I would normally look to add heat sinks in here. Or another medium laser. We don't have slots for either, right? Our slots are completely full. So if we dropped the heavy Pharaoh and instead went for a regular Pharaoh, that would probably end up doing the trick. If we have one. Endosteel structure. Yeah, regular Pharaoh fibrous armor. So that gives us a tiny amount of weight, or that gives us slots, but basically no weight to work with. Okay. We could upgrade this to double heat sinks. That might not be the worst idea in the world. How many double heat sinks do we have, though? Do we have enough to do that? We do. So that's definitely intriguing. If we drop these heat sinks, we're going to need 3 external heat sinks here. So we can put in a double heat sink kit and then 3 external double heat sinks. So that would need to be half of what we have here. So a double heat sink here. That does use up a lot of slots, but we can put 1 here and then 1 here. And then we've got 2 tons to work with and 1 slot. So we could do something like a pulse laser. I don't know how useful that would be. But we could do like a medium pulse laser. And we'd have 0.1 tons to work with. That's a doable thing. Do it. It's going to be expensive, but get that done. 360,000, 18 days to repair. It's spicy, no doubt about it, and we want that to be the priority. So there's a lot of repairs to be done here. We did take quite a lot of damage from that one. I was hoping that they wouldn't have quite that much splash damage out of the gate, but there we go. So it is time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, we are going to look at making back some of that money. We didn't make quite as much as we were looking for from that one, and we'll have to do some repairs. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Shadow Wolf, Kentogan, Ali Lee, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Soccerman12 UK, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.